record this. Okay, so that way it's saved no matter what. Now we'll see about going live on Facebook. Okay. Okay. Wow, that went smoothly. Okay, let's see. Now, this is what I've planned for today. Let's see how it goes. Let's start with the sampler. Whoops. Came up in front of me here. All right, now share the screen. Okay. At one point, I had a newspaper column, and people in the community would ask me questions. At the time, my focus was the power of respect. That was the name of the newspaper article. Came out once a week. It's called The Redwood Record, and published in a little town in Northern California called Garberville. So that's after that finished, because the owner of the newspaper decided that he wanted to focus only on local issues. And this was definitely not just a local issue. In fact, some of the questions came from people living in different places. So anyway, when this was all done, it was suggested I put them all together. So I did. And then I also sorted them out and made several ebooks. And this is one of them. It's the sampler. So okay. Those are all the different volumes, 7. Okay, we're going to start with this question. We've read some of your columns. We've never treated our children any different than our parents treated us. but we're considering trying out some of what you've said. Our oldest daughter is 9, our son is 6, and our youngest daughter is 3. We have no idea how to get started. What do you suggest? Okay, now I was using something, it didn't really have a name in those days. It eventually did get a name, 7 Steps to Harmony. But now I would definitely answer this with using the one rule. Now I haven't set that up to go through that. But as anyone knows who's been following me, the one rule means you find agreement. And that's basically what happens with this also, but it's more complicated, a lot more complicated. Okay, let's see if we can do this one. Teen with attitude. Okay, I'm full of admiration for my 14-year-old child's self-motivation and development. However, I do notice that the same care that is directed toward other areas is not directed toward home responsibilities. The belligerent and exasperated tone, which is used by my teenage child when reminded or asked to give some help, is hard to deal with, especially since these responses are becoming the normal pattern. How can I change the dynamic so that we can get out of this rut before it becomes any deeper? And I'm going to go through the answer. We'll see how this all unfolds, but for now, that's what I'm going to do. I'm sure you have discussed this situation with your teenager many times, but have you discussed it in terms of feelings? Have you explained how important tone is to you and exactly how that belligerent, exasperated tone makes you feel? Have you asked your teenager if what they are feeling makes them use that tone? I need some water. Some people don't relate to tone. They only relate to content. These people don't realize that for people who relate to tone, tone can mean more than content. Tone-oriented people might completely ignore content if the tone sets them off. One reason people adopt certain terms or tones is because these terms or tones have been directed at them in the past. Even if you have not used this tone, maybe the other parent has, or the siblings or teachers, friends, or other adults. The kind of attitude your teenager seems to be taking is one that people often take when they feel that their needs are not being taken into account, but they are powerless to change it. Since this teenager is highly self-motivated, they might resent any interference in their life, especially chores, and they may use a tone or phrases that they know, consciously or unconsciously, will get to you. If it's been going on long enough, it might now just be out of habit. If the tone is not being clearly understood, you might record some of your family interactions. People get a much clearer idea of what they're saying and how they're saying it when they hear it recorded. However, before you do any recording, explain what you're intending to do and why. Be sure you have a clear agreement before you do it. That's the one rule, right? This was a long time ago, but it was already formed there, not named, not organized, but formed. Don't do it if you cannot do it in a way that feels good to everyone involved. There's the one rule right there. Sometime when you're both feeling good, when neither of you has anything you have to get done right away, and the general atmosphere is unstressed, tell your teenager that you might need their help. If you think you might have trouble expressing yourself clearly and simply with non-threatening words, write down beforehand what you want to talk about and resolve. State the problem in terms of yourself and your needs. I need, I feel. When you through this discussion, you may discover that your teen simply forgets to do the chores and also doesn't like being reminded. Reminders that they write for themselves might take care of this. Doesn't seriously mind doing the chores, but thinks that doing them is enough and doesn't feel like being cheerful about it. Is only content when doing activities of their own choice. Really doesn't like the particular chores assigned to them and might be happier with other choices. Those are possible things that are going on with the teenage daughter. Brainstorm together and discover solutions to this situation which are agreeable to both of you. If necessary, bring this to a bigger family meeting to make sure that what the two of you have decided is agreeable to everyone who is involved. Now, that would happen with the one rule also, same thing. Wouldn't have to set up a meeting necessarily, but maybe. In order to get out and stay out of a rut, it is necessary to do things differently. It might help to express appreciation for all the things your teenager does that please you, especially when the chores are well done. I would say appreciation for the other things too now. You might do your best not to offend with your tones or the content of what you say. As soon as you notice that something is bothering you, make an appointment with the person whose behavior is bothering you to work on this. That's so it doesn't get bigger. And in terms of making an appointment, you could, of course, or you could do it more casually in the moment, as long as you make sure that that's a good time for them. Never settle for any solution that does not feel good to all the people involved. There is the one rule right there. Respectful mornings with kids. See there, it's from the newspaper column, The Power of Respect. What do you do when you have 3 children, ages 2, 4, and 7, and you have to get out of the house in the morning? Redway is a little town right near Garberville. So those were the, if I just stuck to local, that might have worked out better. Anyway, this is one of the many parenting situations where preparation can be effective. Choose a time when you and your kids are relaxed and not under time pressures. Tell your kids that you want to have a meeting with them about getting out of the house on time in the morning, and you want all of you to feel good. Make sure that the time you choose for the meeting is also agreeable to all of you. If it is not, do your best to find a time that is. Your 2-year-old might not fully participate in the meeting. Don't worry about that. The other kids can participate. I'm sure they will enjoy this. Okay, this is something that doesn't have to happen with the one rule. It could, of course, but it doesn't have to. Okay. Possible respectful solutions. Maybe one or a combination of the following options would help ease the morning stress. The night before, everyone chooses the clothes they're going to wear the next day. If someone is not dressed and it's time to leave, they get dressed in the car. If it's time to leave and someone has not finished breakfast, they can take it along and eat in the car or when they get to where they're going. No one plays with toys or the kittens or looks at books or TV until they're ready to leave. Write down exactly what being ready means. That could be helpful, even with the one rule, if everyone agrees that that's the solution that they want. After someone is ready, they offer to help the others. Possibility. Everyone gets up 15 minutes earlier. Another possibility. You all decide that it doesn't matter if you're late. That's a possibility. Depends on the people. That's one of the things I like about this approach, about the one rule in particular, because it's so clear. If everybody feels good about that solution, it can be used. Another solution, possible solution, the kids in school get rides with other people. That's a possibility too. The key to success is finding solutions that are agreeable to everyone involved. Then no one feels they're being imposed upon or taken advantage of. Everyone feels empowered to make it work. That's how the one rule works. Everyone feels empowered to make it work because they were part of making the decision and they agreed it. They liked it. That's the only reason that you agree to something with the one rule, is that you like it. May not be what you thought of originally, but you still like it. This may not make a lot of sense to your 2-year-old, but invite them to participate as much as their interest and ability allows. Explain the group plan to them, help them participate. Encourage them to choose their clothes the night before if that's something you all decide to do. Realize that the plan may not come off smoothly at first, second, or even third time. It's not unusual to have to work the bugs out. Modify the plan until it works for your family. That would be the same with the one rule. In case you do have an occasional stressful morning, have a plan to help you stay as calm as possible. And that's in my latest course called Friendly Parents, Happy Kids. One of the lessons is creating your plan for calm. So I think it's the second lesson. And it's really important that you do that. Yeah, I'm putting together a promotion for that course. It's going to be a 90% discount, which means you're only paying 10%. And this is like some of the best work that I have created. And I want to make it available to people. So hopefully when that comes out in the next day or so, you will sign up and you will, as part of this, create your plan for calm. Okay, one of the things, here's a few things. Okay. Stressing is not going to move things along. Take some slow, deep breaths, or ground yourself and center yourself, or put on some music which both soothes you and moves things along. Ask for help from your family, friends, neighbors. Seek your inner guidance, and you might just get the answer you need at that moment. Maybe someone could come and help. Maybe you can call and let people know that you're running late, but that you are coming. Maybe it may not be the way you like it to be, but it is not the end of the world. Keep the big picture in mind. You're all okay, just a little late. Okay. End sibling conflicts. That sounds like good, right? Do you have any special hints for dealing with sibling conflict resolution? Here, as in so many conflict situations, the process of discovering mutually agreeable solutions involves valuable peacemaking skills, making sure that communication is clear. That would be true in the one rule also. That people involved understand each other accurately. That would be also part of the one rule. Brainstorming for solutions. Well, it wouldn't be, in the one rule, it's not posed that way, but that's kind of what happens while you're just by nature, when you're searching for something, a solution that's agreeable to everyone, you keep coming up with things until you hit on it. And negotiating a win-win resolution to the conflict. That's built into the one rule. because everybody has to agree to it. That's the thing. Okay, I need a little bit more water. It is helpful if issues are dealt with when the siblings are not engaged in conflict, though these tools can certainly help resolve conflicts while they are happening. If they are already fighting and it doesn't really bother you, just ask if anyone wants your help. If they do, they usually begin telling their side of the story immediately. If you are uncomfortable with their fighting, let them know and offer to help them sort it out so they can both feel good about what's going on. That's actually, well, they weren't fighting exactly, but that's kind of what happened with the first time that I used what I learned from them about the one rule. It for sure wasn't called anything, but I was teaching them conflict resolution, which this is based on too, which has like, I don't know, 11 or so different steps, and they whittled it down to let's see, was it 1, 2, or 3? Okay, first, you know the problem. That's the first thing. Then you search for a solution. That would be second. And then you choose something that works for whoever is involved, works for all of them. That would be 3. So they kind of whittled those 11 or so steps down to 3. And that is now the one rule. It can go down to 1 if you don't want to include everything, which is just you find agreement. You find what feels good to you, and each person is responsible for what feels good to them and saying yes to that, only to that. Okay. If you're okay, if they don't want your help, you might ask for their help. Tell them that you have a problem with their fighting. Let them know how it makes you feel. Sorry about that. Okay. Sometimes fighting escalates into physical fighting. If that's not okay with you, then put your body on the line and stay between them until you all come to some mutually acceptable agreement. If they do want your help, it helps to first talk with each child separately. Then you and they don't have to deal with the dynamics of their relationship while they're sorting things out. It gives each child a chance to be heard, to say what they need and how they would like the situation to be resolved. Later, when they meet together, they won't be so emotional and their ideas will be clearer. If they already know how to find win-win solutions, then they can do this on their own. If not, they will need your help as a facilitator until they have become sufficiently skilled. Same with the one rule, but it's so clear and easy. Like the 3-year-olds that I worked with, they got it right away. So often sibling conflicts occur because one of the children does not feel they are being heard or that their needs are being considered. Another common cause of conflict is misunderstanding. Big time. They haven't accurately understood each other. Talking individually with you about the situation gives each one a chance to feel accepted for who they are and what their needs are. To help this happen, it is important that you do what is called active listening. That's from Thomas Gordon, Parent Effectiveness Training. Mostly, you just listen to what they're saying. Do your best to understand their side of the story, asking questions for clarification if necessary. So you thought she wanted you to do that, but now she says she didn't want you to? This makes sure that you have understood them and helps them be clear in themselves about what happened. It's also a way of teaching the skills of clear communication. When they feel understood and accepted, it is easier to understand and accept the needs of the other and to discover mutually agreeable solutions to problems. As the siblings become more familiar with this method of resolving conflict in ways that are agreeable to everyone involved, not only do they use it spontaneously on their own, but conflicts happen less frequently. Now, that's what I discovered after that. The few times that I helped the children at Children's House, our Montessori school, well, started out as ours, but became community. Okay, nonprofit. There were only a few times that I actually did a session like with those two little girls, that this started with the thing that's now the one rule. And it just seemed to become the way that the children worked. They just didn't get into conflicts anymore. The only time conflicts would happen is if there was a new child who didn't have a smooth, peaceful home life. Then at first, there might be conflicts with that child. But after a while, even they got into it. So it's something that seems to be natural to us when we're children. Adults can take it on too. Adults can do this. They really can. I did. I need some water. Especially living in the desert, have to be extra aware of, not just aware, but taking action, like drinking the water, keeping, because the desert will absorb as much liquid as it can get to get more balance. Okay. Okay, then what happens is this: instead of getting into conflict over something, they go right into negotiating. They go in with the one rule. It doesn't even have to be negotiating. They go right into finding a mutually agreeable solution. And as they become more skilled at this, it takes less time. and peace in the home increases. And that is the truth. Not just in the home, in our Montessori school. Yeah. It was like, instead of kids getting into fights, they just were having a good time. Okay, here's something, another one from the sampler. A disrespectful parent. I've been in your workshops before, and I'm getting better at being respectful with my children. My problem is not with them, but with my husband. He is not willing or interested in being a respectful parent. When I see improvement in my son's self-esteem go down the drain because of something his father says to him, it breaks my heart. Sometimes my husband and I end up fighting about all of this. I don't know what to do. I'm very frustrated. Bryceland was another town so in that area, but more out in the country, hardly a town. Maybe it used to be, but an area. Okay. I know that this kind of situation can be extremely frustrating. It can also be disheartening and very stressful, especially for you. You have a vision of how things can be better and are making efforts to create these changes. It's hard to make efforts that seem in vain, but they're not in vain, even if they seem that way right now. Patience and perseverance do make a difference. It may help you to realize that their father's behavior might not be so stressful for your kids. Unless they are under 3, they're used to his behavior. They may not like it any better than you do, but it is what they're used to. It does make it more difficult for you to help build self-esteem in your kids, but you can do it. It may take more awareness on your part and how they need your help. Oh, on your part to when and how they need your help. Yeah. Encourage them to exercise as much power over their lives as they are willing, interested, and able to do. Feeling empowered and powerful does a lot for building self-esteem. Maybe your husband isn't interested in being a respectful parent, but hopefully he is interested in being respectful with you. Tell him that you want to negotiate with him about approaches to parenting. This is where the one rule would come in. And I have heard of people using this with their husbands and finding it very effective. Here is a chance to practice all your skills. Clear two-way communication, active listening, and win-win negotiating. Those were what I was helping people with in those days. Now it would be finding an agreeable solution. Be sure he knows exactly how you feel, what you need, and what behavior is okay with you. Now, see, all of that doesn't have to happen, and what is not. Be sure you have the same understanding of him. You don't have to do all this with the one rule. Now, coming to agreements may take some time, but it will be worth the efforts. Yeah, when you're starting out with anybody, especially an adult, because they have so much that they have taken on, um, so many ways of behaving, so many attitudes toward things, that it coming to agreements might take some time, but you don't have to know all these things about the person that you're working with. You just have to find something that will work for both of you because you both feel good about it. You like it. It doesn't, it may not be what you originally thought of, or it may be, but with the mutual understanding that you both get, the thing is that with the one rule, the people involved, all they need to know, is this possible solution something that feels good to me, that I like? That's what you need to know. And of course, the possible solutions somebody needs to think of. It might be you, it might be the other person or the other people. But you don't have to know a lot, because what you're responsible for is, well, there's a mutual responsibility for discovering um, the solution or solutions. There could be many solutions that would be agreeable. There might be only one that you guys can come up with. So that's a mutual responsibility in using the one rule. But then the only other thing you have to do, no, not the only other thing, but the next important thing is you agree to something if it's something that feels good to you. So you don't have to know whether it's going to feel good to the other person. That's up to them. Then the other thing to do is to carry out the solution that you agreed on. Now, if when you're carrying out this solution, you discover that there's some part of it that really doesn't feel that good, then you need to let the other person know, and use the one rule, find agreement in terms of that. So it's basically simple. Okay. So I would say with this nowadays that he can better understand the value of finding agreement when he has gotten personal benefits from them. So this is saying, like, use the one rule with your husband. And since you love each other, it should be an easy thing to take on. Okay, this can help him accept this approach faster, much faster than when you fight about it, because then he's in resistance mode. That's not going to go any good where. Fighting is more likely to have the opposite effect, making him even more attached to his parenting methods. Another way to give him firsthand positive experience of the power of respect, or the one rule, is to offer to help negotiate any conflicts that arise between your husband and your kids. This can also help speed up his acceptance of the respectful approach. Because the one rule is super respectful, because it doesn't ask anybody to agree to something that they don't feel good about. That's it, simple. As I have experienced, this can even be effective when both parties have no faith in finding win-win solutions or finding mutually agreeable solutions. He may come to see things getting done faster with a less hassle. Remember, patience, perseverance, and forgiveness. If you are determined to introduce this into your family, it can happen. Stay together or split. Yeah, I had questions about parents not getting on. Okay. I want your opinion. When parents are not getting on well, when one parent is full of anger and not being respectful of the other parent, is it better for the parents to stay together for the sake of the children, or split up for the sake of the children? I know that this is a much discussed question today. You can find information on both sides. Those who believe that one must stay in the marriage for the sake of the children, no matter what, and those who believe that it's worse for the kids to live in an atmosphere of hostility and fighting than to deal with a broken home. It seems clear from what you say that it is not good for things to stay the way they are. If in your heart of hearts you both want to stay together, there are many options for getting the help you both might need to make the necessary changes. In terms of your kids, it is not good for one parent to be regularly disrespectful to the other. Since the parents are the most powerful and intimate models of appropriate human behavior for their kids, this encourages the development of disrespect and putting up with disrespect as acceptable behavior between males and females. True, this is the way things used to be in the not too distant past, when women were owned first by their fathers, then by their husbands. But we are no longer their property, and our behavior needs to reflect this. I think that the best lesson you can offer your kids is how to be true to their inner guidance. Be an example of this for them. Explain what you're doing and how you're doing it. Don't act out of what you think their needs are or will be. You can't know for sure exactly what kinds of experiences they are going to have to deal with in their lives. However, if they are practiced at following their inner guidance, that part of themselves that directs them to the wisest and most harmonious actions, they have something that never fails them, no matter what happens in their lives. If they want you to, discuss this situation with your kids, since it is going to have an important effect on their lives. They need the opportunity to share their feelings, needs, and wishes, to give their opinions and participate in the decisions. It is critical that it is safe for them to talk about these things. It is also a valuable learning experience. It is also a valuable learning opportunity for them. Help them learn the truth of what is going on with their parents and how their parents are dealing with it. Later, when they're faced with difficult life situations, they will have developed guidelines for thinking things through. They will have practiced this during a time in their lives when the impressions and lessons learned will stick. These discussions also give them the chance not to feel like the victims of something that just happens to them. They are part of it and kept up to date with the process. They will feel more power in their lives than if it is all decided and then told to them. This does not mean that the children will be glad about it if the parents ultimately decide to split up. They might be sad, but they will better understand why it happened and be more open to focusing on the benefits of the situation rather than just being frustrated and unhappy because something happened that they did not want to happen. If splitting up is the decision, make sure that your children get to decide where and when they spend their time as much as possible. If you are all used to working things out with mutually agreeable solutions, it gives them more confidence and self-respect. It also makes it easier for them to deal with the difficult situations without letting those situations get them down, at least not for very long. Adult kids. I recently read your book. I regret not knowing about respecting children when I was raising my children. They're all grown now. I wish I could do it over again. Arcadia is, it's a town quite a bit north, but it's still in Humboldt County. But it's not in Redway or near there. Okay. You can, in a way, by creating respectful relationships with your adult kids now. Sure, you may not be able to affect their fundamental development. That was finished at the end of childhood. However, if you change the way you think about them, speak to them, and relate to them, you can transform your present relationship, heal past wounds, and create a satisfying, fulfilling relationship with those grown-up kids. It can be a wonderful experience for you both and fulfill your desire to have raised your kids respectfully. It may take as much work and transformation on your part as if you had started when they were small. First, you need to become aware of how you treat your kids and what you need to change in order to be respectful toward them at all times. They need this as much as you do for their own self-esteem. Just as you can change, so can they. It can help your process and that of your adult kids if you talk about it with them. Depending on your relationship, they may or may not believe you. In any case, it brings your commitment even more to the forefront of your awareness. This can speed up the process for you and start the process for them. Even if they don't believe you at first, if you persist, they will be convinced. In general, all kids, even adult kids who've become estranged from their parents, love their parents and would prefer a mutually respectful relationship with them. It can help to remember that much of the behavior of parent and child is affected by old stimuli. Many interactions are just playing out previously established behavior patterns. Your beliefs, which were formed in your past, still guide today's actions. It can take time and persistent effort to reform your belief system to the point where the new beliefs form your experiences. As you change, new elements are introduced into the patterns. As you change, the changes are reflected in your experiences. As you become more respectful, that respect is reflected back to you from others. To understand the kind of dedication and determination needed for this change, it can be helpful to think of a baby learning to walk. No matter how many times they fall down, they do not become discouraged and give up. They may take a break, but they return to their practice until they have mastered the ability to walk. Besides sticking with it, it can also be helpful to practice patience, patience with yourself and patience with others. Remember the power of forgiveness and do what you need to do to keep your self-esteem strong. Notice the changes. You and your adult kids have better self-esteem, freedom from the strain of always being right, freedom from the guilt of hurting your kids, satisfaction in discovering win-win solutions to problems, more energy for adventures, inner ones and outer ones. It is a wonderful, enriching experience to share a relationship with your adult kids, full of mutual respect, admiration, love, and trust. It is never too late to become friends with your kids. Okay, I think that is it. Yeah. Wow, we made it all the way through the sampler. Amazing. Okay, I'm going to stop the screen share. Okay, good. All right. I just wanted to thank you for being here. And I'm going to see about making these ebooks available. I'm wondering. Anyway, I'll figure that out. But what is becoming available is this new course. It's there are going to be several versions. One of them is pretty much entirely home study. This is if you don't want a friendly parent certificate or a miracle worker certificate. That's someone who wants to learn how to do this with other people and maybe make it a business, which you could also do by becoming an affiliate. If you go to the website, www.happykidsco.org, O-R-G, then there's, I think on every page there, down at the bottom, there's a way to become an affiliate. And as an affiliate, you get 50% commission. So you might like to do that. This course, the home study version, well, as I said, it's going to be put out at a 90% discount, and maybe even other things, maybe some coaching, maybe the certificated version of the training. I think that's also going to be put out. So, okay, well, that's the end of today's show. I hope you have a wonderful week, and don't forget to use the one rule.